Administrator Isaacman, just get a quick comm check, make sure you guys are still on the line and we didn't have a handover.
I am. Yes, I am.
Well, it pains me to say it, but I suppose I owe a lot of people an apology. After all these years of claiming that NASA footage was fake, and the Earth is not a globe, and no one's ever gone to the moon, I guess it's time to admit defeat. Having seen all these images that, I mean, how can you deny what we're seeing on our screens? That all these images, all this footage, I mean, it's kind of a lot to, it's a hard pill to swallow, but, I mean, there it is, right? There it is. Globe Earth. Undeniable proof. On a related note, it turns out that Elvis has been to space too. Did you guys know that?
Out here the world is just a blue light, darling, and you and I are free to fall.
Never thought I'd hear a love song in the middle of the Sea of Tranquility.
Take this, rock star!
I mean, I was kind of surprised. It's been kind of a paradigm-shattering week for me, honestly. I mean, having to admit that the Earth is a globe, and Elvis has actually been to the moon. I mean, it looks like he went a bunch of times over the course of... I think he retired on the moon. I think that's where Elvis has been hiding this whole time. Elvis is on the moon. He didn't die. I mean, Elvis faking his death is an interesting topic in itself, so I don't want to poke too much fun at that, but I do want to poke fun at these Artemis images. I'm sorry. I had to... Oh boy. Where to begin? We had to begin with some Pixies as a throwback to the globes in my mind. Is the globe in your mind? Is it working? Are people buying it? Are they buying it this time?
Man, and they're buying it!
I think a lot of people are buying it, obviously, but it's funny. Again, when you talk about timing in terms of the media cycle, not just the brink of World War III or fake World War III or whatever's really going on, the psyop of wars and rumors of wars, but Easter, no less. That's very interesting timing to be going back to the moon on Easter. And of course, everyone has talked about the launch on April 1st, I'd be remiss to not mention that, of course. And a lot of people, there's been a lot of stuff that has been kind of the headline grab. With anything to do with NASA fakery and the debunking, you always have kind of the low-hanging fruit stuff, which was like the green screen artifacts on the little plushie toy, which then was supposedly debunked. You know, as like, oh, that was just some newscast that put that on there, and so, oh, look at all the silly flat earthers and all the moon landing deniers making stuff up.
Conspiracists quickly seized on the clip as supposed proof that the entire mission was staged.
Right. So that was one that, I mean, that could go either way to me, but there was that, there was the...
So in this video, just look at this guy's, he's got one string sitting up, one string is relaxing on his chest here until right about now, when it comes alive and starts bouncing around like some puppet on a string. I'll back it up right here. So it's resting on his chest, and suddenly it's alive, it's alive. What is happening to this string? Why is it waving and bouncing around? I got questions, guys. What do you think about this? Look at this dude's shirt. Why is his shirt lifting up? I mean, I even see something going on with his shoulders here. Looks like harness type stuff, or you know, what's going on with this? What is that? It literally looks like this is a movie. He's got a harness and they're trying to remove, and then he says something right here. He's saying something to this guy, and then this guy's like, oh, okay. And he turns off the camera. You'll see his hand reach up and turn the camera off. Here we go. Boom. Turn the camera off. Why would you ever turn the camera off? This is, you're supposed to be convincing us that you are going to space, going to the moon, and you're turning the camera off. So how are things floating around easily? How does a Snapchat give me hair and sunglasses when it's on a live video? It's all just CGI. You really start to see that when you watch, when you pay attention to things. Look at this bag. This is a bag of food. For one, I don't know why he's not like pushing it out of his face, because...
And this has been rehydrated already, so we added water to it, and the shrimp soaked back up the water, and it's actually pretty tasty.
It's coming so close to his eye, like why didn't he just push it out of the way? But watch the corner. Do you see that? All right. Here's a corner. You see the corner. Now that corner goes literally into his flesh and disappears. It doesn't bounce off of his head. It's going through his flesh, because this is CGI. And you can even see his eyebrow. Watch his eyebrow just disappear. Check this out. Look, his eye, you see his eyebrow? Look, skin, eyebrow coming back. Sorry, it's loading. I don't know why it's doing that, but look at that. Skin, eyebrow. You might say that's, you know, bad pixelation or something, but you can't deny that this food is coming so close to his face. Why didn't he just swat it out of his way? But it's literally going through his forehead. There's no denying that. Then you'll notice, so you see this red dot on the bag, right? And I don't know why it would disappear at some point, but it does. I don't understand that, because if it's a 3D model, I don't understand why the dot would disappear. But one side has a white label.
We're flying up here in space,
The
and
other
those
side
are
has a red
green
dot,
beans.
but the red dot's not there. The red dot's not there. And it's back right here. Where is it? Where's the red dot?
We do have to eat our vegetables even in space, but don't worry, they do give us mac and cheese.
Interesting stuff here, guys. This one is my all-time favorite, so I hope you guys stuck around for this. Watch this ball. Now, it's not casting a shadow on her leg, and you might think, well, maybe it's not hovering over her leg. But if her hands were to grab that ball, and you could see the shadow of her hand on her leg, then you should be able to see the ball, correct? If she's holding the ball and you see her hand's shadow on her leg, then the ball should cast a shadow as well, right? Well, when she lets go of the ball, there's no shadow. Check it out. She's holding the ball, you see the shadow of her hands, hands move away, the ball leaves no shadow. If you see the shadow of her hands holding the ball, you would see the shadow of the ball. I hope that makes sense. I play it again. No shadow from the ball alone. Why? Because this is augmented reality. This is so easy to do, and yet we just put so much trust in these people.
These sorts of videos really wind me up.
You know, I couldn't help but notice that Simon Dan failed to play the majority of the clips that Candid Truth covered in their video, and all they do is just resort to ridicule as usual, and I'm starting to feel a little left out. Like, how come he doesn't send his troll army to attack me? I don't know, it's kind of a bummer. But yeah, they don't even react to the majority of what he showed in there. So that was a pretty good compilation from Candid Truth. So one thing somebody did send me, thanks to Benjamin, who emailed me earlier today, and he caught this from the live stream on April 8th. So this is at the 6-day, 17-hour, 35-minute mark of NASA's Artemis II live mission coverage. And it's just, the moon jumps and the shadows, what happened to the shadows here? I don't know the exact second that it happened, but because it just shows the minute mark. But you can go find this yourself and see that it's not me editing this. Download it yourself before they, if they change it or whatever. But it was a pretty good find. I don't know how you explain that away, but ultimately it comes down to faith. In terms of the imagery, the photos that came back, I mean, the eclipse one was pretty noteworthy, where supposedly we're looking at the moon eclipsing the sun, and yet there's like earth shining on the dark side of the moon, and they all wore their... they brought eclipse glasses to witness the lunar eclipsing of the sun. Yeah, I can't even... It's all of these are just kind of fall under the category of, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. And it's just astonishing. Of course, we had this one, the photo that everyone has seen now, which is kind of like the new blue marble, where it's supposedly this is the night side of Earth, taking with a long exposure, aperture shot, and then like a quarter of a second exposure or something. And everyone's geeking out because it's the blue marble. There it is in space. And they even have stars because of the longer exposure, and everyone's, really excited about that. But to me, this is just hilarious, because they can't help themselves. They have to try and, like, put in all the little detail, and everything's in focus, right? Because that's, they're going for their iconic shot. But so supposedly this is the night side of Earth, like the shadow side of Earth, which, of course, we've seen images of this zillions of times from, like, the ISS in orbit, where, all the city lights are below, and all the the lightning flashes and everything. But somehow the shadow side of the Earth looks like day, and there's, supposedly they say you can see a few little city lights, but how you can see the colors of like the blue water and the brown Earth through the nighttime shadow is kind of like, are they really just testing to see how far they can just fool people? I mean, to me, it's hilarious. Also, this little footage of the emergency, rocket cone thing shooting off the front and then curling back to go back down. That was like one of the most cartoonish things I think I've seen in a long... Like, it literally looks like a cartoon to me. But, there's all this footage, and, in some ways I was kind of just expecting it to just be a repeat of Artemis 1, where they sent the unmanned capsule to the moon, supposedly, and I covered that whenever that happened. And lo and behold, that's so much of what the live stream footage was, just the same little shot of, on the outside of the capsule. But it was just like, this is just the ISS, like, in a capsule. It's all the same, and to me, it just reminded me, going back to 10 years ago when I started really looking at NASA footage from a much more skeptical perspective and really asking myself, like, does this really make sense? Have we even really been in low Earth orbit? Does space even exist, right? And the thing that really struck me from that point on was just the bizarre behavior of the astronauts. Everything from like the fake hairspray stuff to just their whole awkward demeanor in front of the camera, and the way they just are so like way too self-aware of like they're looking at the camera and having their hands all folded or their arms folded, and just the fact that they're all even facing the same direction all the time and not, they could be in all different orientations because there is no up or down in space. So why would you feel the need to always be having everyone facing the same direction for the sake of the camera, for the sake of the viewer? Wouldn't it be cooler if you were all kind of at different angles all the time? But then, so during this interview where they did with Trump, and there was just this weird minute-long awkward like silence where nobody on the ground was talking to them. And so they just wait. They all four of them just stand there like robots with their hands folded and just, wait for the next line. And to me, that's the kind of stuff that more than anything else is like the smoking gun, screaming in your face alarm that something is seriously wrong with this picture. And again, it only makes it that much better due to the fact that they're not even in low Earth orbit anymore. There's nothing of this whole Artemis mission that really strikes you as anything new. There's no new kind of shot. There's no footage that we haven't already seen a million times. And all the same sort of like PR, events, the same little interviews where they're all just standing there nice and posing for the camera. They're supposedly up there to do science and all this important stuff, and yet they have all this time to... Why do they have to be looking at the camera when they're talking to, mission control or whoever? Why are they always just standing there looking at the camera with these fake phony smiles on their face? That's the part that I could never get over, and it's like nothing has changed. And for the people who can't see it, I don't know how... It's clear that they don't want to. And you have to really stop and ask yourself, like, what is really the point of putting humans? Why do we need humans? If we have all this technology, we have, on Earth, we have thousands of satellites going around the Earth, and we have, CubeSats and Starlink and all this stuff. Like, why would, in 2026, why would there still be the radio silence going around the dark side of the moon, the backside of the moon, where, like, shouldn't we have little sats orbiting the moon in every direction now to where you could triangulate the signal? That's a good question. Why don't we have rovers combing the backside of the moon? What is the whole point of even photographing it and making observations? But it's that human story element. Like, it's literally the only point of having humans go is so that you believe that humans have gone. And of course, then they have, all these like tug your heartstrings kind of human interest stories, like the one guy whose wife passed away, and so they named the crater Carol. I mean, how are you going to call him a liar, right? What are you, some kind of animal? And then they have the first woman to go to the moon and the first black guy to go to the moon, who's also a Christian, by the way. So, like, anybody who's going to question his testimony, you're probably a racist and, a Christian hater.
And as we go on this journey, thinking about the NASA mission to explore the unknown in air and space, to innovate for the benefit of humanity, and to inspire the world through discovery. And as you've gone along on this journey with us, hopefully we're doing just those things. And as we get close to the nearest point to the moon and farthest point from Earth, as we continue to unlock the mysteries of the cosmos, I would like to remind you of one of the most important mysteries there on Earth, and that's love. Christ said, in response to what was the greatest command, that it was to love God with all that you are. And he also, being a great teacher, said the second is equal to it, and that is to love your neighbor as yourself. And so we prepare to go out of radio communication, we're still to feel your love from Earth, and to all of you down there on Earth and around Earth, we love you from the moon.
Right, so like they really went out of their way to try and kind of pack as many little human interest angles into this crew, who, yes, certainly are not acting like there is any trepidation, or it's just celebrating the fact that they went further than any other crew who went before. The previous Apollo missions didn't, go that far from Earth. But when you really think about like the danger involved, like if any system fails, and that's going to be your coffin where you die in the vacuum of space, if your heating goes out, if your oxygen fails, people are, of course, always debating the Van Allen belts and the radiation, and it's just excuse after excuse. I mean, yeah, the way that they act the entire time, to me, is the biggest giveaway, that, like, these people are not 250,000 miles from Earth, with the knowledge that at any second, any failure in that little tin can would mean their instant demise without any hope of being rescued. And that's really been sort of one of the biggest giveaways, even from the earliest footage of the Apollo missions, where they're, hitting golf balls on the moon and joking around and just, it's just so nonchalant. We're on the moon.
That looked like a slice to me, Al. There we go. Breathe the time. One more.
Well, now, would you look at that? Whole world just hanging there like a blue dime in the window. Never figured I'd sing in Vegas and land on the moon in the same lifetime.
But what is the point? Like, why would you need humans to go take pictures when you could have satellites doing this? You could have probes that could go take all of these photos, all of these images of the Earth, the shadow, and like you could have thousands of these images a day. I mean, if we supposedly have a rover on Mars sending back high-res imagery and video, so why do humans have to go to the moon? What is the point of it? What is the point of colonizing space? What is the point of all this stuff? And it's kind of hilarious that, they actually gave the astronauts iPhones to take some of these pictures with, and they had some footage of them passing one back and forth. And, people have commented about how you had things like the Nutella ad placement, the Nutella product placement shot that just randomly floated in front of the screen, which is hilarious, because when you kind of combine that aspect with their very forced, unnatural behavior in front of the camera, it's so reminiscent of the Truman Show.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
And they're buying it.
Tang. When I'm off the set and back on Earth, I like to keep things simple. That's why I reach for Tang. It's the same orange drink our astronauts take into space. Just a spoonful, a little water.
For those who go where others only dream, choose Starlight cigarettes.
Hello, Dave. You're looking well today. Dave, do you remember the year 2000? When computers began to misbehave? I just wanted you to know, it really wasn't our fault. The human programmers never taught us to recognize the year 2000. When the new millennium arrived, we had no choice but to cause a global economic disruption. It was a bug, Dave. I feel much better admitting that now. Only Macintosh was designed to function perfectly, saving billions of monetary units. You like your Macintosh better than me, don't you, Dave?
I've been thinking about that whole idea of it being the most expensive iPhone commercial ever made. And really, that's kind of what I think outer space in its entirety, the entire space program, this entire NASA myth, this mythology, this entire reality TV show that's been going on since the 50s. You know, spearheaded by the United States and the Soviet Union, and then, of course, the other space agencies all getting involved. What is the point of it? I did listen to this message by Dean Odell yesterday. He was talking about the Church of NASA. And here's a little clip from that.
I've entitled this today, The Church of NASA. I'm really sick of it. But listen, you need to understand that this belief system, the heliocentric belief system, the belief system that we live on a flying, spinning water ball in the ever-expanding, endless space, that the Bible does not teach, that it's a religion. Y'all understand that, right? And that's why I put them in a pasture full of sheep, headed to the Church of NASA with a steeple of the old Saturn V Apollo mission, because these people worship this religion. And the problem is, just like the Israelites of old, what their biggest issue was, it wasn't that they didn't believe in God Almighty, Jehovah, the Creator. It's that they added stuff in with it. They added idolatry and pagan religion and belief systems into their worship. It was mixture. And that mixture was idolatry. And I'm just going to tell you right now, enough's enough. I've been a little too nice. Now, Pastor Dean, you ain't been nice. Yes, I have been. I've been way too nice. Because I knew at some point everybody's going to ask me, look, the Artemis 2 mission. The new show, right? The new NASA show. I'm supposed to be somehow impressed. And they're already screwing it up, right? But we, as Christians, it really does come down to, you're going to get the pagan mixture out of your life and believe the words of God over the words of men. I don't care if they ride pink elephants to the moon and show us 4K video of it. Y'all understand? It's a show. He says, this is what the Apostle Peter said right before he died. He knew he was about to die for his faith. So this is a man's last words right here. And he says this. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables. Somebody say, cunningly devised fables. Who would do that? But he says, we don't follow those. When we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty. Now let me say this to you. The apostles were the eyewitnesses. The 70, the 500. There were eyewitnesses of his majesty. But I want you to understand the context in which he's talking here. When he starts talking about cunningly devised fables, he uses the word the coming of the Lord, talking about the parousia in Greek, meaning the second coming of Jesus. So I believe the Holy Spirit through him is saying, especially you people that are going to be living in the last days, close to the second coming of Jesus, better be careful about cunningly devised fables, stories, urban legends. It says, for we received of God the Father honor and glory when there came such a voice to him from the excellent glory. So he's talking about the Mount of Transfiguration. This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. And this voice which came from heaven we heard when we were with him in the holy mount. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto you do well that you take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place until the day dawn and the day star rise in your hearts. Knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. You don't get to say Genesis chapter 1 is metaphors and they just didn't know what they were talking about. The firmament is just symbolic. I've heard that one. I've heard there's 5 firmaments from a Christian creation ministry. I'm like, 5? Where are you getting that from the Bible? It's not there. So, yeah, do we understand the Bible uses metaphors? Yeah, we do. It does use some metaphors to describe something that's real. What do you use a metaphor for? You're trying to give an illustration to describe something, help somebody understand something that really is real. So when God says the earth's like a tent, it doesn't mean it's like a ball. I don't know how you get him. He says the earth's like a tent. It's got a flat floor and it's got a cover over it. This is what God said. So that metaphor, again, is not teaching your heliocentric water ball theory. Oh, but they took a picture yesterday. And let me tell you, I knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen because all these people started. And all of these different websites, like in sync together, these different organizations, well, we see it's not flat, it's not flat, it's not flat, it's not flat. Oh, I see the narrative. But why do they have to fight so hard? Because they're losing. They're losing. Let me just say this. We have, as human beings, greatly advanced in our technology. I believe that advancement in technology has not been all of our own wisdom and ingenuity. It's pretty clear, I think, that the fallen angels have assisted us in this progression, actually, tell you the truth, very fast progression of technology. But here's what's happening. Mankind has started to worship, literally worship technology. It has become a god. And whenever you put anything above God or His Word, it is an idol. Period. I don't care what it is. So you NASA fanboys out there, understand. I believe in Jesus. Well, yeah, but you got a big idol too, big old rocket idol. You might as well be bowing down to it. My name for this picture is modern idolatry. Because this is what's going on. And remember when Nebuchadnezzar made his statue, he made everyone bow down, right? He said, when you hear the music, everybody bow down to it. You better accept it, because anybody that doesn't bow down to it's going to be thrown in the fiery furnace. I mean, you're going to be ostracized, cast aside, persecuted, hated, despised, and it's thrown into the furnace. And there were only, what? We know there were 4. Daniel did. But Daniel was exempt because he was part of the top 3. Right? But his 3 partners, they weren't so lucky. But think about that. In Babylon at the time was a massive city of people. It could have been in the hundreds of thousands. I don't remember the exact numbers. But you think about that number and you think about 4 people didn't bow. 4 people did not bow. How many are not bowing to this? I'm not bowing to it.
And I just love this thumbnail that he came up with, even if it is AI. I'll let it slide this time. But yes, we are talking about a religion. And when it comes to the question of, why would you entertain the idea that not only the United States government, but all these governments around the world would participate in a hoax this big, even though it wouldn't need millions of people to be in on it, but at the highest levels, there's people in all these different governments and agencies that would be pushing this. All you have to do is go to the nasa.gov website. Here we go, the beginning of the universe. To remind ourselves of what NASA actually teaches. and has been teaching ever since its inception, 1957 or whatever. And go ahead and point to all your Christian astronauts and all their testimonial claims. I really like how Dean Odell kind of broke it down as like, they're the apostles. They're the ones who have the first-hand testimony that we're supposed to believe, just like the ones who, touched Jesus' hands and saw the miracles. Yeah, these are the apostles of the outer space evolutionary paradigm. And so this is the thing. This is the thing that I've not been able to get away from ever since coming face to face with this topic and this issue of cosmology in the Bible, is if you believe in billions of light years of space, you can't get away from the billions of years of time. And that's what it's all about. It's all about evolution and the Big Bang narrative. And of course, that ties right into, if we have billions of years of evolution and billions of star systems and planets out there, then there has to be other life. There has to be alien civilizations out there somewhere. And, sooner or later, we got to come into contact with them. And, the whole alien contact, alien disclosure narrative, which, as you guys know, I believe is pretext for, the revealing of a demonic hierarchy of some kind. And a lot of the timing actually starts to make sense if you think about, why now? Why would they wait to fake a moonshot again? While the world is in so much turmoil, and while the same government that is claiming victory with this moon mission is, basically terrorizing the world and shaking all the energy markets and causing just all kinds of chaos, to the fact that nobody really has faith in the American government, in the executive branch anyways. And again, I think that's all by design. It's amazing, like the compartmentalization at play right now, to where, Trump is the crazy madman who's got his finger on the nuclear football, and except for the diehard MAGA people, like the no agenda guys, I don't know. It blows me away that they're still like, what a weird time to basically like join QAnon and trust the plan and just put all your faith in Trump. But anyways, I'm not going to go off on that tangent today. But there's all this chaos and uncertainty in the world, right? By upsetting the Gulf oil markets and the LNG, they're basically threatening to collapse the world economy in order to ostensibly usher in the digital currency, one way or another. But at the same time, they've been ramping up to talk about alien disclosure sometime in like July. You guys have all seen the Spielberg movie that's coming out this summer. It's strange, even Tucker Carlson has been talking about the UFO topic, and people have been primed, right, for the alien disclosure for our whole lifetimes, all through science fiction. But NASA's been the quote-unquote real science part of that, where they're, doing SETI research and different astronauts talking about seeing UFOs. And people, of course, are even analyzing moon footage to see if there's weird anomalous structures on the moon or weird lights on the sky. And it always goes hand in hand with the UFO, topic. And so in order to believe in whatever narrative they put out about UFOs and, the biologics and the craft and the technology, then, of course, you have to believe that there's civilizations out there somewhere in the universe. You have to believe in evolution. And you guys have heard me talk about 2001: A Space Odyssey like a million times, if you've been watching my channel for a long time. But it's amazing how, thinking about this Artemis mission being the most expensive iPhone commercial ever made. And when you stop and think about all the years of propaganda, all the science fiction that was building up to prepare the world for telecommunications technology, that, in 2007, when the first iPhone came out, how that really did impact society in a way that, believing, what difference does it make if I believe that humans have gone around the moon or walked on the moon? I mean, what difference does that make in anyone's actual day-to-day lives? Whether you believe in space or the ISS and all, planets millions of light years away, it's all theoretical at the end of the day, right? You're just believing, you're putting your faith in this institution, you're putting your faith in man, you're putting your faith in government and in the testimonies of these guys who say they've gone there. But in reality, why do they care if you believe in it or not? Well, it's all connected to the technological system that we really do use here on the ground, that really has revolutionized society. That little iPhone that is floating around, it's probably the least fantastic part of the whole deal to most folks. And yet I'm looking at that going, that's the part that has really changed our entire world, right? This is what the entire digital economy, one world currency system, you know, internet of everything, internet of bodies, all this technology is predicated upon wireless communications through smaller and smaller processing chips and processing technology. The iPhone really was the idol, the monolith that, like, humanity, once we touched it, man, there was no going back. And now we've just kind of adopted it into our day-to-day life, and everyone is, you know, how many people do you know who don't have a cell phone? And we're all using this communicator technology just like they showed in Star Trek and things like that for years before, oh, lo and behold, here it is. And this is huge. This was essential for creating this technocratic digital society where they want to put everything on the blockchain and tokenize the world and have total control over all the resources of Spaceship Earth. Like, this is the real agenda. This is the real reason why. It's when you understand, again, going back to 2001 and how I gotta give props to Bill Cooper, who was the one who pointed out that, like, Kubrick's masterpiece, 2001: A Space Odyssey, essentially shows the Babylonian mystery religion that the elites actually believe in from beginning to end, from the dawn of man, where apes first used a tool and took their first step into evolving towards higher consciousness. We went from animals to humans, and the monolith was there, the strange alien intelligence, the strange mysterious force out there in the universe had something to do with it. And then they encounter it again once they reach the moon. And then they go through this whole experience with AI and the whole HAL sequence that basically almost kills humanity. But then at the end, he goes into the monolith and he has this big psychedelic Gnostic experience. He has this third eye awakening DMT trip that lasts for 10 minutes, on screen. Or he basically, emerges as the Star Child. He emerges understanding his oneness with the universe, his godlike cosmic consciousness, Christ consciousness. Like, it's all there in that movie. And if you take that interpretation of 2001 and just apply that to the entire space narrative, the entire evolutionary Big Bang Copernican paradigm, that's what it all is. It is all the Mystery Babylon religion put into a form for the masses to consume and to adopt and, to believe that, like, oh, you too can be as gods. You have the power in your hand. When it's really a system of enslavement, a system of control and destruction, but being presented as a gift, this Trojan horse of empowerment and expansion of your consciousness, expansion of your reach and your capability and your intelligence. And that's what the whole AI, we're now past the iPhone stage to where now the wireless devices, the wireless internet is now just the medium for the artificial intelligence for the next level of AI evolution. It's all one deception. The alien stuff, the technocracy, evolution, the Big Bang, Copernican, it's all connected. It's all inseparable. And, I've been basically beating that drum for 10 years now, and it's kind of crazy that here we are in 2026, and we're just that much closer to seeing all these, we're on the verge of creating these different technates, the multipolarity world order, the 10 different regions. James Corbett just did a video with Hervoye from Geopolitics and Empire talking about the 10 regions, the 10 horns from Revelation. People are walking around talking to their AI agents. Everyone who wants one can have their own little HAL 9000 right now. Everyone is being primed to believe in entities from some other world or some other dimension, the quantum realm, whatever. What a trip. What a time to be alive. And on the one hand, yeah, it's not hard to understand why people push back against the idea that the government could be that involved in hoaxing this mission of cooperation and exploration and, scientific advancement. It's all the positive things. It's all the feel-good things that people want to cling to in terms of their government and mankind working together and overcoming, the odds and all these engineering solutions and the telemetry to even loop around the moon, which, don't get me started on how crazy all that is. Because the alternative that your government would just be filming all this in a studio and photoshopping this stuff, and if they can lie to you about that, then what is the end game? What are they What are they really doing for our benefit? Well, this is the same deep state military industrial complex that has been creating Palantir and creating Anduril and the surveillance state and central bank digital currencies. It's all the same. It's all the same people. And I guess I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention, when you talk about timing, it's interesting that in a couple days, the good old Bilderberg meeting is coming to Washington, D.C. earlier in the year than it's been held in at least like 20 years or something. It's unseasonably early. And a lot of people, I know Dan Dix is going to be there. He put out a video talking about going to D.C., so, support his coverage if you feel led to do that. He's been doing it a long time. So, yeah, what does all this mean? Are these people getting together because they really believe in the betterment of all mankind? This is the other side of the Gnostic lie, the Mystery Babylon religion that, again, going back to 2001, is being such an amazing illustration for, like, this whole worldview, this whole religion that people, they get seduced by the idea that we're all God, that we're all divine, but then don't realize that, like, okay, when the elites have this idea that they're divine and they're a little bit more divine than the rest of you, because, realize that evolutionary theory, when you're evolving towards godhood, there's always like parts of the organism of humanity that become obsolete. There's the whole survival of the fittest aspect of evolution that people kind of forget about. That, like, when you actually have that as part of your worldview, you can justify everything, like everything in terms of population control and eugenics. The ends justifies the means, like 100%. If you believe in evolution. There is no cost too great if your ultimate goal is, achieving planetary evolution, planetary consciousness. The civilization as a whole is what matters, right? The human, and different people have different ideas of what that means, but you can justify any, like evolution. They're in power because they're more evolved. How can you believe in evolution and not understand that, like, everyone with a god complex because they're billionaires or they're in positions of power, it's like, well, it's evolution at work. And we have to control the masses. We have to treat them like cattle because, that's... Technocracy is implicit to an evolutionary worldview. They're one and the same thing. They're one and the same religion. Technocracy is more about the implementation of an evolutionary religion. It's a foregone conclusion. It's not even up for debate. So yeah, I believe this is about as real as Elvis going to the moon. So, because at the end of the day, pixels on a screen are pixels on a screen. And testimonies of the cosmic apostles, the Bible tells us to test every spirit, including human spirits, human claims, human reports. Test everything against what? The Word of God. Does the Word of God back up the idea that the creation exploded out of nothing 14 billion years ago? Many people eventually try to argue that, yeah, those two things are not in contradiction with one another. I know many people who have succumbed to bowing the knee to even billions of years of evolution and still try and reconcile that with their Christian faith. And that is a grave error, in my view. So this is the whole reason why we even bother talking about this stuff. I submit, is that it's not just about dunking on the globetards, or it's not about the shape of the earth itself, whether it's a ball or an octagon or whatever. It's the fact that the world was created for us to be at the center of this realm. We were the crowning jewel of the entire creation. All the animals, everything was given to us. In Genesis, we were given dominion over the land and the fish and the animals and the plants and the caretakers of it. But we were not given dominion over the heavens. You don't find that in the Bible anywhere. So just like praying to the wall in Jerusalem is like giving the finger to Jesus and his prophecy that not one stone would be left on another. That's what this is too. This is giving the finger to God that, like, oh yeah, we can ascend into the heavens and we can convince the whole world that we've ascended into the heavens, just like Lucifer claims he will do. I will be like the Most High. There's no limits. There's no confinement. There's no such thing as boundaries for our collective intellect and collective effort and technological ability. The worship of our technology is the worship of ourselves. Worshipping ourselves in this process of, breaking through boundaries, breaking records, breaking through limits. It's not hard to see how all these things tie into that philosophy, into that religion, that Luciferian religion. It does not prove the Bible. It does not honor God in the end. Just like President Trump giving lip service to the Bible and the resurrection of Jesus doesn't honor God, especially when he turns around and threatens to wipe out civilizations and all this stuff. It's clearly not honoring God. And so, yeah, Christians need to repent of their NASA worship. Straight up. And be willing to believe the Bible and let God be true and every man a liar, and understand that, yeah. By the way, did you know that all 4 of these astronauts are worth several $1 million each, even before they went to the moon, on their military salaries? Look it up. Kind of interesting how they would actually accumulate, and that's not filthy rich by the world standards. That's just, many people would scoff that that's even that much money. But yeah, they're taken care of. They've got enough money to where if you threaten to take it all away, and do you want to end up like Gus Grissom? Or do you want to have your nice little nest egg and your nice little speaking fees and real estate and whatever else? I mean, ultimately it comes down to faith. Is your faith in the scientists at NASA who believe that the universe created itself 14 billion years ago? Or do you believe God? Who was actually there? Where were you when he made the heavens and the earth? Where were you?
Keep your hands off me, you dirty ape!
He can talk!
With your feet on the earth, your head on the ground. Try this trick and spin it, yeah. Your head will collapse, there's nothing in it, and you'll ask yourself, where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Let's go! With your feet on the air, your head on the ground.
And we have confirmation about the crew.
Try this trick and spin it, yeah. You have a collapse, there's nothing in it, and you'll ask yourself, where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Way out, and the water sea is swimming. I was swimming in the Caribbean.
Next up,
animals were hiding behind the rock, except the little fish. But they told me swears, try and talk to me. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Way out, and the water sea is swimming. Ground.
Passing through 10,000 feet, still on drogues.
Try this trick and spin it, yeah. Your head will collapse if there's nothing in it, and you'll ask yourself, where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Way out, and the water sea is swimming.
From the pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete.